Onegaishimasu, welcome back to the Goju Karate Center. I thought today we would have a look at the latest season of Ultimate Self-Defense Championship. I really love this show. I think it should have way more views than it does. I know I'm a teeny tiny channel, they don't need my support, but I really wanted to share this with our viewership in case you haven't seen this series. I'd like to go over some of my favorite scenarios and how some of the martial artists react to them, as well as looking at it both from a South African point of view, because I think the Canadian guy is very sweet and definitely things are different in Canada. He's very, very trusting, and how I would maybe offer my insights for what they're worth. I'd like to share my favorite parts with you and what I really enjoy about this show. First off, production value is excellent. This was done entirely through crowdfunding. I know Roka has got a decent sized YouTube channel, but something like this takes more than just AdSense money to do. And I know he's got a Patreon, and thank you to everyone who was able to support that Patreon so that everyone can enjoy this content. Just the venues, the drone hire, the small GoPros that everyone's wearing, even getting those custom-made outfits is expensive. And I just look at the amount of effort that went into this series and the fact that everyone has put their best into it. I think that's something that's really special. And what I love about YouTube is that now people can make content that you used to have to go to TV for. You used to have to get a network to pick you up. And now if you're passionate enough and enough people see your vision, you can start making your own network quality content. So let's get cracking. This is the first, I'm just going to do the first 3 episodes. Episode 4 hasn't dropped yet as of recording, and I'll try have a reaction video out shortly after that one. I'm going to try be like the other current YouTubers. Let's go.
Every minute, over 100 people get attacked across the whole globe. In order to find out what you should do if you ever get attacked, I brought 8 martial arts experts from across the globe, including a special forces soldier, a UFC fighter, kickboxing world champion, and more. And I've put them in various self-defense scenarios, such as a home invasion, road rage, and a nightclub attack, so you could learn from their good and bad decisions.
So, first off, very interesting choice in the kinds of martial artists that were able to do this. So obviously, there are constraints that we have to work with the show like this. Who's available? Not necessarily everyone has the time it takes to take off to go do this, either because of work or family or their own commitments. And one thing I would love to see is an all-women's USDC, but I do think it's very tricky, because the size difference and the power difference will always be very evident. But I would like to see some of the scenarios. Maybe if they could just even have a guest one with 8 female martial artists, I would love to do that. I would host it if I knew there were 8 women around here who were open to being on YouTube. I know many great women karateka, but they don't necessarily want to be on YouTube.
I like to say that running away is the best self-defense. Yet running away is not as simple as you think. What if you're with your child? What if you're in an unfamiliar environment where you don't know the exits?
Effectively running away is a skill that needs to be developed, and in a moment, we'll test to see if our contenders have the skill. In this challenge, they will start at a 20 meters distance from the attackers, and as soon as the alarm goes off, the contenders will have to make their way through an abandoned hospital full of rooms, corridors, and few exits, forcing the contenders to find a viable escape route without fighting back, as this is a test of escaping skills. If the contenders are hit by a weapon, they're out, and their only way to win the challenge is to reach the forest on the other side of the building, representing a safe getaway point where they would have the highest chance of losing their attacker. Yet even though this challenge is a simulated one, the tension was high.
Because I'm looking back, the guys have weapons. I'm like, I thought we were just going to be defending some knives or something. I got 5 guys behind me. That one got my heart rate going the most.
So right off the bat, the first exercise, and this is one of the things that I think really challenges a very common misconception or piece of advice, just run away. Easier said than done. Some people have never run in their lives. B, what if you can't leave anyone behind? Say I'm with my sons, I must just, drag them, stand my ground, leave them. And 3, you don't always know where you're going. So familiarity with the environment is really important. So I really like this first idea of running through an abandoned building. There is an abandoned hospital in Joburg, in Kempton Park, that I would love to do this in, but I think it's being condoned and condemned, and it would not make for safe running. But I think something like this would be a really fun thing to do with your dojo adults on a Saturday afternoon. Just planting some seeds.
It's so hard to slow down on the gravel. And then from there, I grabbed the first thing I saw, which was a door. I turn around, and as I do, there's a bad guy swinging this thing at me. I was just like, "Ugh!" And I grabbed it, and I pulled the door, and I kind of replaced the door, and then immediately, and my foot just goes, woo. Good news is I'm bouncy, so immediately I hit the ground right back up.
I'd just like to say I'm super stoked that Seth made it to the tree line. He is obviously my favorite to win because he represents karate, and I think he represents us in a very good light.
It's still so scary. Something just takes over when you're being chased like that.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm not scared now. I was scared for a while.
How do I think I would react to being chased by a bunch of guys? I would hopefully probably run faster than I've ever run in my life. I do run, just not a lot, not as much as I used to. I recently did a 10K a couple of weeks ago. That was fun. I think just for the adrenaline alone, I'd be curious to see how I would react. Again, a lot of people in the comments get the keyboard warriors are, I would do this, I'd do that. You don't know until you're under pressure. A guy tried to mug me. I thought I'd do the sensible thing, and I did not. I got mad. I won, but wasn't the sensible thing to do.
I wanted to show that self-defense is far from just fighting or running away. A big part of self-defense is avoiding all types of danger, including scams.
That's why I contacted the one and only R. Paul Wilson, world-renowned expert in deception and scams, best known for co-creating the show The Real Hustle, where he performs real-life scams on unsuspecting people to educate how scams work and how to avoid them.
Paul gave me clear instructions to follow, suggesting that if we do, we'll be able to scam every single participant.
I think the introduction of the airport scam was a brilliant idea because we so often think of self-defense as being in your face. We don't think about financial self-defense. We don't think about online self-defense. We don't even think about scams like this. Now, in South Africa, there's a scam for everything, from post office scams to courier scams. I received a piece of technology yesterday from my service provider, and I had to have a proof of residence. I had to have my original ID. I had to have a copy of my ID. And they fingerprinted me for receiving my own thing. And the driver said it's because fraud has gotten so bad that they actually have to do all these checks just for me to receive like a 500 Rand Wi-Fi router. It's not like it was even an expensive object. So this is very, very important. And travel scams, I'm sure people can weigh in from around the world. I know there's everything from the bangle scam when you're traveling and they put a bangle on you and they tell you it's beautiful, keep it, and then they want money and they pester you. They're all over the world, and you do constantly have to be vigilant, especially when traveling and especially if you look like a target.
So before the contenders arrived, I sent them out all messages that someone will pick them up in the airport holding their name card. But when I sent the message to Adrian, his first response was, "What's the greeter's name?" I'm going, oh crap. Then to make things worse, on the final minute of his arrival, he asks for the picture of the greeter.
This is just general checks and measures that I usually do when I go to a foreign country. I walk out and I see someone standing in the middle of the yard, a massive sign in his hand, and I thought, okay, something's not right. And I looked to my left, and next to another pillar I could see what looked like the guy that was supposed to pick me up. And I asked him for his name, and I asked him who sent him, and he said, "You're someone that's got a lot of questions." I said, "Well, you've got my name on your side, and so there's this guy in the center here, so I want to know who sent you."
Adrian was the only person who managed to avoid the scam, showing to the others how it's done.
Well done to the Australian for asking for checks and names and stuff. It's what I would do, especially as a woman traveling. I would make sure if I was going with a greeter, I would know exactly what they look like and just do a few questions just to cross-check. Or ideally, it's the same thing with Uber, trying to use PINs. But hotel to airport shuttles are also another option to look at. Well done, Adrian.
Person who managed to avoid the scam, showing
everybody's okay. Unnerving feeling. It's not a good feeling because you want to make sure everybody's okay. Well, of course, we're not being shot at in these scenarios. The severity of the situation is not nearly the same, but the feeling is real.
Very interesting that the special ops guy says that even though he wasn't being shot at, his adrenaline still spiked. And we know that the human brain is primed to see danger everywhere. It was a very, very useful evolutionary trait for thousands and thousands of years. And while it can overreact and overprotect us now, I still think that that gut instinct and that feeling that you get is still very valuable. There's a book called The Gift of Fear, which talks about how we've learned to ignore our gut instinct related to this topic. And often that gut instinct is very, very helpful, and it helped with the airport scammers as well. And you'll see it'll help in other scenarios.
So, wanting to create the best self-defense show ever, I decided to invite the best martial arts expert in the world, Master Ken.
I'm Master Ken, creator of the most dangerous martial art in the world, Ameridote. Ameridote takes the best parts of every other martial art in the world with none of the weaknesses, which is why we like to say best of all, worst of none. Megan here will be assisting me, mostly just posing like that.
And then, after adjusting the ex-Marshal made USDC outfit to his standards, it was time for Master Ken to show how the first challenge was supposed to be done.
Of course, Master Ken has a cut-off shirt. I mean, it's very on brand. It was very nice to see him bring some levity into the show. There's something called pose law that extreme belief is indistinguishable from parody. And the way he parodies the worst of martial arts, absolutely love it. He's a palate cleanser. That wraps up episode 1, the highlights of episode 1. Let's go cracking into episode 2.